I've said that so many times on this podcast, I can't actually read. And based on Steven's shirt, he's wearing a Kentucky Wildcats shirt that says Wildcats like 100 times on it. So you just need to be reminded too, didn't you?
And welcome everyone to episode 146 of the Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you are going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Kenny, Tony, and Steven. Hello, guys.
What's up, Tone?
What's up, Steven? Tony tonight. It's Tony in the house.
Tony.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny?
Feels good.
Hey, you're pretty good at that. You a former R&B singer that you didn't tell us about that? You got an R&B career?
No, I wish I could sing.
Nice.
You know, I get R&B vibes from him.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
think it's the hair.
I almost had an inappropriate joke, but I did not. I held off.
Oh, nice.
Good.
It's something else that makes it R&B, right?
It's just something else you don't have to edit out.
There you go. Perfect. Yes. Well, you know, it's funny. When you said Tony, I had to laugh because, Kenny, you were at a bourbon tasting recently, and you ran into one of my buddies that I haven't seen in a long time, Bob. We'll just call him Bob because that's his name. And
does that mean his real name's Tony?
Did he know me as Anthony or Tony? Did he?
Nope. When I said Anthony Lamperos, he's like, Lamperos? Oh, he's like, yeah, I went to Kent State and da-da-da. And I said Anthony. He's like, oh, he goes by Anthony now, huh? I knew it was Tony. So, yeah, he did say that.
Well, you know what's funny? When I was an undergrad, everybody called me Tony. And then that just continued all the way through to when I got to my PhD. And what happened was when I went on the job market, I did not want people seeing my name as Anthony on my resume, CV, and then having to call me Tony because people just get confused. And also, my dad goes by Tony. And growing up, I was always Anthony. Just somewhere around the time when I was 18 years old, close friends, other people started calling me Tony, and the next thing you know, it stuck, and I was just Tony to everybody. So, yes, at Kent State in a previous life and my other universities, I was a Tony. So that's funny that you said that. I didn't even get a chance to ask you. So
yeah, no, he did.
That's cool. Well, on the heels of that and getting back together with you gentlemen this evening on, what's today? Bottle and Bond Day?
Bottle and Bond Day.
There you go. And we might not be drinking bonded whiskey on this episode, but...
well, we can pour a little right there in front of us.
There you go.
Celebrate Bottle and Bond Day.
Little holiday from...
Little Ben Holiday.
Ben Holiday.
Bond, we just did the episode on.
Steven, would you like some Ben Holiday, sir?
Sure.
Would you twist your arm for that?
That's good.
But no, as we're talking about that and the significance of Bottle and Bond Day,
I'm going to have a little bit of that too.
I took the cap off that, so watch before you spill it everywhere.
Screw cap. Travels well.
Yeah, so I was, I told you guys that I consume a lot of bourbon media. So something I consumed in bourbon media recently that had me thinking was Fred Minnick. You guys know Fred Minnick? I mean, everybody knows Fred, right?
Yep, he's above the char.
Yeah, he is. He's above the char with that ascot. But he he had a video that released this past week.
I love the fact that he knows the name of that.
I do. I know all.
You know all
where he basically had about a 10-minute video where he said, "Is the bourbon boom over?" And he gave some compelling reasons about why he felt that the boom was over, but things would be okay. He wasn't super negative about it, but kind of wanted to kick us off tonight talking about what y'all's perspective is on the bourbon boom and whether it's seen its days and now we're on the decline.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you call him way more of an expert than me.
Right.
But when I talk to a lot of other people in the industry, they don't see it as what he just said at all.
Okay.
They see it as continuing to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. So, I guess I'd have to disagree with him. Just based on what I hear from so many other people that are in the industry.
Right.
I mean, you got to think, all the bourbon places are making a lot of, we live around here.
Right.
All the rick houses are making.
Oh, yeah.
And those are not cheap.
They're definitely expanding, and you're right. There's a lot of investment infrastructure. There's a ton of money being dumped in there right now.
I mean, you got to assume at one point,
But I'm trying to remember. I wish I would know. He said somebody didn't actually run the still. They've been running the stills continuously to try to keep up with demand and filling as many barrels as they can. And he said they actually were cutting back distilling in some of the big distilleries because they didn't need to be distilling as much as they were.
Man,
I think it's crazy.
All right, so like Buffalo Trace
right.
would not have done all their research and spent all that money putting in a second still.
Right.
Heaven Hill, second still.
Barton has that gigantic still.
Yeah. They produce a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
And Wild Turkey was actually out of juice.
Right.
So they bought Wilderness Trail.
That's true.
So they'll have, extra juice. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, now what I could totally see is I could see so many brands dying off just because, dude, it's just like if you walk into Liquor Bar and Total Wine today, there's an absolute abundance
It is
of bourbon.
super saturated.
But
Yeah.
90% of it I wouldn't even want to buy. It's non-age stated, or it's overpriced, or if you've
Celebrity.
or had some of it and it's just not good.
Right.
So I could definitely see that kind of stuff dying off, especially with, like actually brands that don't actually distill their own product.
Right.
I could see that boom being done, being over, starting to die off. But as long as you distill your own stuff, man. Or look at NBC, which, uses MGP primarily.
Yeah.
Old Louisville, some of those places that are actually booming and busier than ever because people are just loving the product they're making just because their actual procedures of how they age it, where their location is in their rick house, where Dark Arts just started up.
Right.
They don't distill, but their stuff, people are loving it. I've seen so many people talk about, wow, this is the MGP like it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Right.
Some of that just because of, just the finishing processes used, finishing with different staves, doing a French oak, doing a toasted, doing this, doing that. So, I could definitely see part of what he's saying being true, but man, you would think with all that's been going on with all the big distillers, they wouldn't up their production like that if they saw that.
So going back to the craft comment you made, are you saying they'll probably be out first because the big companies are going to want to keep or not going to want to sell and keep the stuff? Or are you saying because the market is so saturated, like in the stores,
The market's so
that
saturated.
people are going to skip over it and they're just going to go out of business?
That's going to skip over it,
Yeah.
a lot of it. So not to jump ahead. Actually, I will save this for when we get into the bottle tonight in this next part. But yeah, so many brands that just aren't, if you go in the store, there's so many brands that you've never heard of. And I've bought a few of those or tried them at other people's place. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to buy. I would not buy this after trying it, kind of thing.
Well, and I don't think that it's just the fact that there's so many brands. The problem, and this is something they talked about, is in a lot of other podcasts and bourbon media, people are talking about this, is the premium nature of bourbon, right? I can't say that word. Is it premiumization? I legit can't say that word, but they were saying that trend might be over. And I think that's kind of what we're thinking about here. At least I'm thinking about is this. I like these brands, the ones that you just mentioned, NBC, Old Louisville, Dark Arts. You can keep going, Rare Character, whatever. There's a lot of love for these brands now. Is it sustainable for them to have their minimum bottles costing $100, $150, $200 and people just to go out and buy them? And I think that might be part of what's going to die off. And I hate to declare anybody being like in trouble, but like I know a brand that I've been very fond of and still remain fond of is Blue Run, right? Even though Blue Run is an established brand, they were bought by Molson Coors, so we've reviewed their bottles on the episode and stuff. There was a point in time where messaging friends, messaging people at Blue Run and stuff and saying like, when are y'all going to bring out a $40, $50 everyday shelf whiskey? Well, that's not what we're doing, I got told. We're doing premium. And I'm like, okay, well, even I can't buy a $200, $250 bottle every single time it releases.
Right.
And maybe I'm part of the poors. But I'm just saying, like, think about it. Kenny, you said in the past what your rule was, right? $70 rule.
It was $70, but
$70. That's gone
hard
now.
to do that now.
It's really got to be a $90 to $100 rule.
$90 to $100. That's like kind of what the entry is for any of these bourbons, and I don't know. That's where I think it's going to cut off. That's not sustainable.
That's true though, man. Because if you think about it, I guess that side of the boom thing, that could be very, very true based on what he's saying. Because you can still pick up, from the heritage brands, some $39 to $69 stuff that's actually very good.
Right.
So yeah, I could see that side of it.
Your $70 thing. What did Peerless come out with?
Right.
Theirs was the $80 to $100 bottles, and they've pretty much stayed that way.
Right.
And going back to what your comment was about some of the not off brands, but less known brands that you really are fond of that are high, and how are they going to come? I mean, they're going to have to lower the price just to get people to buy them, to get them in the
that's
get people
really,
in the door. You know.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Can they roll the prices back now? Because think
Or
about,
come out with another
and I don't
product,
want to just
maybe.
attack the new guys or the craft guys. Look at what Wild Turkey's done. And I know this is sacred ground for Kenny. I'm not trying to get on you here, okay? But Russell's 13, Single Rick, Generations, we're talking about like $250, $300, $400, $500
They can
retail
do that
releases.
because they got people know the brand.
I know, but even think about
Even Baby
allocated
Saz.
stuff. But think Saz, right?
Yeah.
Saz, they're still charging. What they raise B tax to 129, 119 this year.
It went up some.
They went up some.
Yeah, but everyone knows Buffalo Trace and
I know.
Blanton's. I mean, they
But even they aren't as high as what some of these brands have done,
Right.
Where they've gone like massively through
Yeah.
the roof, and so allocated's allocated. I think allocated's always going to sell, but I think where they kind of settled was as bourbon hit a ceiling in the United States, and if it's hit a ceiling in the United States and it's going to decline here, what is the worldwide demand going to be for it? Right. That's why they're trying to put it in other markets, international markets, and other places like that. And if that catches
There's so much
fire-
room for growth overseas.
Yeah,
though,
there is.
so
right, absolutely.
That's why I don't think the boom is done. I mean, it's,
No, it can't be. Like
No.
even okay. So my father-in-law is visiting down. He's from in Houston, Texas, right? But my wife's family's from India, and I just asked him. He said, we told him about your podcast in India, so we might have some listeners in India.
Nice.
And I just said,
Leave
has
a
bourbon?
review.
Yeah, has bourbon caught on at all in India? And he said, not really. People still drink Scotch there.
Yeah.
Scotch is still the preferred spirit if
they're-
you're a whiskey
they're
drinker
Scotch,
in India.
then,
Yeah, exactly. So there's still room to grow there.
that's a huge
And,
market they can get into.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I guess we could probably talk about this all night, but I kind of want to know from you guys as well, because I've been into whiskey since I got here and even before that. But I wasn't really into whiskey till 2015. And I'm looking around at some of the people who were into whiskey like I've been and still continue to be, but I think they're getting a little fatigued too, right?
Oh, definitely.
There's some people that are really getting fatigued out there that are in the market that are kind of like, is it as exciting as it once was to collect all the Wellers, right?
It's impossible. Like I've
Right.
kind of stopped hunting.
Okay.
It's just too many times I go in there and I don't have much time to go hunting.
Right. I have cut my...
a half dozen stores or whatever. I don't have time to go in and out. So.
Right. And a lot of times when I was hunting and I would see something that was moderately priced that piqued my interest, I would pick it up.
Yeah.
I was totally like that. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I've never heard of this before. It looks like a good story, everything else. There's a point in time where it's just like, there's too much to keep up. I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I'm not going to go walk around Total Wine anyway. No, I'm really not going to go walk around Total Wine.
They had a Stag Junior.
They did. I heard.
I'm right on the shelf.
They put Stag Junior on the shelf and other products. Four Roses recently for $120 a clip for their single barrel strength.
Yeah, 120 or 125. So
Yeah,
it was
120,
up there.
125. Yep.
It was up there.
Even though we know it doesn't cost that much, because Costco, when they get a barrel, still sells it for $70 or $80, right?
Yeah.
And that's pennies above what it costs, probably. So
Yeah,
but,
Costco, you can't
yeah,
can't look at that because they don't have enough markup on it for really to make it profitable.
Yeah.
Well, they make their profit other ways, I guess.
Well, selfishly, the bourbon boom can't end, because if it ends, then what will we do with our podcast? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, so here's the thing, though.
Lots of bottles to review.
I know, right?
Bourbon now though is cool.
Yep,
Like bourbon's cool.
it is. You're right.
Now you buy it to show off as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people still do that, but also, I mean, it truly is cool and okay to drink it. Think about how it wasn't cool a long time ago. It's why
Right.
you had the big glut era and just didn't sell a lot. A lot of the distilleries were going out of business or had to get bought out.
That is one thing Fred said. Don't lose your train of thought. He said that back when that happened, when the glut happened before, that bourbon was not cool. Other spirits were cool.
Right.
And so nobody was like even cared. There was not the culture around it back then.
There
There is
wasn't
now.
the
But
culture.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
to
yeah,
interrupt.
no, that's it. There wasn't the culture. Also, all these barrel proof bourbon. Like if you got to like a bottled and bond 100 proof,
Right.
You're like living on the edge. You're like, oh my gosh, I mean, because a lot of these scotches are 80 proof,
Right.
and even my Irish whiskeys, a lot of those are 80, 82. That's why I don't buy them. I buy the higher proof stuff. And so now, and a lot of people kind of got looked down upon if you drink the quote unquote hard stuff.
Right.
Now, not really.
that's
in,
true.
in
Right.
bourbon tastings now, it's like a lot of people used to like hide the fact that they drink bourbon.
That's true.
They used to hide it. Now they don't. So I was searching earlier today because of something else, but this is what I found. This is barrels. So this is barrels aging in Kentucky.
Uh-oh. I should know this.
This is not aging across the United States, just in Kentucky. In 1965-ish.
Good year.
That's where the chart starts.
1965.
Is where the chart starts. There was just under 9 million barrels aging. By 1980, 1975, 77, it had dropped all the way down to just under 5 million.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
1985-ish on this thing.
Another great year.
It dropped about 3.5 million. So down to 3.5 million.
Okay. Nintendo was popular then. That's why.
Lowest was just a hair over 3 million.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Lowest was around the year 2000, just a hair over 3 million barrels. And then it was back up in 2005 to 4.5 million barrels. 2015, it was about 6.5 million. 2020, 11.5 million barrels.
Ooh.
So that's where this chart stops. But if you look back, so 1965, just under 9 million. And think about how few of drinkers there were then.
That's true.
Right.
There were
now,
drinkers. They just weren't drinking whiskey.
Yeah. Or, well, just look at the population.
That's true.
There still wasn't near as many people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
now we're
right.
just a couple million over that.
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So now you're only about 2 million barrels more than it was back in 1965.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So,
Yeah.
man, I just don't.
60 years more
It
population.
depends on
growth.
how. It just depends on how
markets.
you define
Yeah.
boom.
Right.
So a boom can be over, yes, if we're talking about some of the things you brought up with these newer places having these $150 bottles at starting price,
Right.
or walking in and there's literally looks like lemonade colored bourbon sitting on the shelf, no age statement, that's $40 and no one's buying because why do I want to buy a 2.5, 3 year product
Right.
that doesn't taste good?
Right.
So that kind of stuff I could see dying down. So that
Yeah.
it just depends on how you want to define boom.
That's true. And I will say that I don't think we can define the boom by the secondary market, just because if some store owner who marked his BTAC up to 1,400 has to mark it down to 1,000 to move it, I don't feel bad at all for him. And I'm just saying that, like, if that's defining also what is driving it in states where there's no state control and people can charge whatever they want, they're like, oh man, I used to be able to get $1,000 for this Van Winkle. Well, we all remember the time we got it when a 10-year Van Winkle was $350 and people thought that was nuts, right? Like, oh my God, old Rip is $300 or $350. And then it went to like 1,000, and now it's down to like 650, 700.
Yeah.
So it's still not eroded to a point where it was before. And to me, that would be like a signal that maybe things are dead, but people still buy that stuff like crazy at that price. So, yeah, I don't think we're not done yet. Look at how big my bourbon collection is.
I mean, what was Jay-Z drinking on his boat the other day?
There you go. That's right.
Pappy 15.
He drinks that 15.
It wasn't scissorp.
Sipping on that.
So, boys, we had another fantastic review this week.
Oh, absolutely. So nice. 5-star review. Once again, the title of this review is Great Job, Guys. And this reviewer said, slowly working through all the episodes and by far one of the better bourbon podcasts out there. He also said Anthony is also very quick to respond on social media with questions you may have.
Because he has no friends.
I knew I was going to get slammed on that one. Yes, I'm so quick to respond because I have nothing else to do. But this review was left by Rice050505 via Apple Podcasts, and we are very delighted to have another 5-star review. And I'm trying to remember, based on this username, who I could have corresponded with. But you know what, gentlemen? We are getting a lot more traffic through our accounts with people commenting on things, listening along while reviewing bottles, like our bottle review while they're tasting something.
That's awesome.
And so
That's
there's
fun.
been a lot of fun stuff happening. So
I'm also amazed at how many people have gone through the entire catalog.
yes,
That's a lot of listening.
I haven't even done that. I tried. I had to quit.
latecomer over here, Kenny, you better catch up. We expect you to listen to all the episodes, sir. But no, that's funny. You guys could have joked and said that I wrote that review for myself, but I didn't. And I thought that was really nice.
Well, I mean, you know, you're also on our taxpayers' dime at work. So I mean, you have all the time in the world you want to respond.
Oh my God, that's so wrong. Stop that.
Well, if you would like a shout out, just leave us a review on Apple Podcast or however, and next time we record, we will give you a shout out. Boys, for this week, we have a very interesting bottle.
How interesting.
Well, it's colorful.
Okay.
This week, we have a bottle of McFarlane's Reserve Select Cask Strength.
All right. So this bottle is veiled in secrecy. So this McFarlane's Reserve Select Cask Strength Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey is got the distillery of IJW Whiskey Company. This is a non-distiller producer we'll talk about here in a second. The bottle date is 2023. The ABV is 54.8. The proof is 109.6. The mash bill is unknown except for the internet's research that I did that said that it was a wheated mash bill. The MSRP is $39.99. And I want to note that this seems to be exclusively sold through Total Wine, but I don't think it's a Total Wine brand because when I was scouring the internets, I did find it in other select markets through other retailers, but it was like small retailers, so I couldn't tell if they were like retailers who were buying things from Total Wine and delivering them in certain markets because that's a business too.
Dude, it's like when you go to Sam's Club.
Yes.
And you see somebody that is stock, they have like pallets full of water and soda, and
Yeah.
you know they're going to sell it at one of their own stores.
Right, exactly. So that could be the case. So it might be some kind of exclusive deal they have. And then I searched even further because I was like, what is IJW Whiskey Company?
I know. Did you find what that
No,
meant?
I found a website that is coming soon. That's
okay.
under design, but there's a picture of a rick house
that's cute.
on the website with the whiskey company's name. So anyway, there you go. Mysterious.
That is mysterious.
I read that article though.
Yeah.
That you sent
Oh, the Whiskey Advocate article. I think
about
it was
the
Whiskey
IJW.
Advocate. Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's pretty interesting.
But that also plays into what we're talking about earlier about non-distilling producers.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Which I found that chart looking at that art, looking at some other stuff with them because that's something I was going to bring up. So I think Steven, you said earlier, are some of those brands going to dry up because the big boys are not going to produce for them anymore?
Right.
So, for example, that's where I started reading because I was with Alves and he thought that IJW
Yes.
might have been one of the ones in a lawsuit with Campari.
Ooh.
But it's not. It's somebody else. So what happened was this holdings company out of Seattle.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this.
Yeah, they had actually contracted with Wilderness Trail for X amount of thousands and thousands and thousands of barrels. Well, they only made them X number of barrels once Campari bought them. Then pretty much they like quit talking to them and did not follow through on the rest of their 12,000, 13,000 barrels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could definitely see places like that. Now, MGP pretty much just makes stuff for everybody.
Yeah.
So those places can buy from MGP still. But as far as like legacy brands that, sell their own. So with MGP now, they own a few brands.
Right.
They bought Penelope. They've had Remus. I don't know if they have any other brands. But,
Yeah, they're doing more brand building there than they ever have, and they're using.
but they don't need
Luxro.
all their juice.
Yeah, they're using
they've
Luxro as well.
and
for
they
their
bought
brands.
MGP. Yeah, they bought Luxro as
Yeah.
well. But they still have so much stuff they make that people can source from them. But yeah, people sourcing from the Heaven Hills and the Buffalo Traces and the Wilderness Trails turkey stuff, that's probably going to dry up more and more. I'd say.
Right. So, what about that bottle there, sir?
Well, like I said, it's colorful,
Yes,
but I kind of think the stenciling looks cheap.
I agree.
So on it, there is what looks to be like Mrs. on
It
it.
does. At a quick glance, it does look like Mrs.
Yeah.
Mrs.
So this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith's bourbon.
Miss. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a Louisville Russ Smith's brand. You're giving them a shout out, huh?
But it looks, I don't know,
Mr. and
the
Mrs.
stenciling
Smith.
looks
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
What's
The
that?
movie.
Oh,
movie.
there's a movie, but the Russ Smith has a bourbon.
Well, Russ
brand, too.
Smith does. But
Yeah, I know. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. My bad. But go ahead. Sorry.
Killing it.
I'm done. What is that? What is that on the front, on the left there? On my left. Is that a Buckeye or a marijuana leaf? I'm just kidding.
It looks like wheat.
It looks like wheat. It's wheat.
I wonder if that's where the internet got wheat from on that.
That may be
know.
it.
I mean, that might be it.
They just saw
'Cause
the
there's
wheat
nothing
on the
else
side.
really- everything's
Yeah.
non-disclosed on it.
Yeah, there is a wheat grain on the side. But anyway, sorry, Stephen, I interrupted you.
Aren't the colors like that JT Mellick a little bit? Remember that JT Mellick bottle?
They do look like JT Millick.
Little, what is this? What kind of blue is that?
It's like a
Is it
really
Royal?
royal
Or
deep blue.
Kind of a stately blue.
Does look stately.
Yeah, with a gold and white.
It looks like looks Greek to me, actually. Yeah, like a Greek blue.
Oh, okay, Greek blue.
Yeah,
I
Greek
didn't know where you
blue.
were going
Sorry,
with that.
that's where I was going with that.
Had a
But,
very tight cork. That was
tight.
good.
The
Yeah.
first pop was.
Yeah, that was nice. Very good. Look at that.
Yeah.
You just recreate that cork sound. If you need anybody to do a cork sound for you on your podcast,
Sound
Steven
overs.
can hang up, can do that for you. Can I actually see that? Can I see the bottle real quick?
What's the website you can pay people to like do things?
On the
Oh,
dark
like
web or
Cameo.
on the regular
Cameo.
web? Oh,
There you go.
okay.
Cameos for bottle
Cameo
pop
your
sounds.
your cork pop sounds.
So,
'Cause I've had a couple current bottles from big distilleries that I had to replace the cork literally
Yeah.
upon opening it.
We've had a couple recently where
Was the bullet one of them that was super loose?
they kind of fall. It was loose, and we were like,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So just so you guys know, as we're getting ready to probably nose and taste this whiskey here, not only does it have blue and gold, but on the back they have like a small font gold lettering
Yeah,
talking about why this is called McFarlane's Reserve. And even though it looks like Mrs. and the cheap stenciling on the front, it's actually after James McFarlane, who is a key figure in the Whiskey Rebellion. Now, I didn't pay attention apparently in history class.
your dad never told you about this.
My dad never told me about the Whiskey
Never
Rebellion.
sat you around the campfire and talked about it.
We never talked about this. Did either of you guys know about the Whiskey Rebellion? Am I just that bad with my recollection of anything that I,
I
should
did
have
not
learned?
know about the rebellion
No,
until
as a kid. Social studies
you
never
sent the
covered
article
it.
earlier and I read it.
Right. And so here's what I want to say, because this is something that I like to own. And even though they have on the back of this bottle a nice history, I wrote my own. Do you
Oh.
gentlemen want to hear my own history that I wrote based on
Sure,
articles?
Mr. Esteemed Professor.
Okay. Professor of Communication attempts history for a second consecutive week.
Take
which could
one.
get bad. So James McFarlane, who this whiskey's named after, is actually a very tragic figure. And he's a tragic figure because this guy survives the Revolutionary War only to be gunned down in 1794 at the hands of the government. Okay? Wow, this is getting dark really quickly. So in 1791, Alexander Hamilton, you remember that? Remember Alexander Hamilton? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was the Treasury Secretary, apparently, and he imposed a whiskey tax to pay for the debt from the Revolutionary War. Sound familiar, right? Let's tax people. Let's pay for things, just like the American way. And it started a whiskey rebellion. So you had distillers, you had farmers, all these people in Pennsylvania that were ticked off. I don't know why Pennsylvania was the place, but it was actually just around Pittsburgh. And so as these guys were all rebelling and saying, F you to the government, pretty much, we can say that. See, that's not swearing. Just say F you to the government. So Marshal Lennox, who was a federal marshal, and a major tax collector, John Neville, went out to collect. And they came across some of these rebels and they were fired upon. And so this started back and forth where Lennox and Neville were, I think, either captured or whatever they were doing here, or they were held down by the gunfire. And then Major Kilpatrick out of Pittsburgh was trying to negotiate with the rebels. And so they, after their firing back and forth, again, my incomplete history, they basically had McFarlane, who was the leader of this rebellion, come out. Like they were like, okay, you come out now, wave the flag, we're going to talk to you. And so he walked out from wherever he was at, and they gunned him down, and everybody got ticked off. And, and so the rebels went nuts and captured everyone. And then George Washington had to get involved. It was a big ordeal. And it was actually the first time the government was flexing its muscles against the people. So it was actually a really, really big deal. And it's nuts that was one of the first times that happened like that. So there you go.
Thank you for the history on that.
Yeah, isn't that? Thank you for letting me shine.
I like to learn,
Professor
man.
State. Yeah, but so that's a lot of history for this unassuming bottle that you find at Total Wine in 19 different varieties. I actually wish there was actually some tie to it. Like this has one drop of whiskey from the Whiskey Rebellion back in in 1794, right?
His tragic story reminded me of the movie American Sniper.
Oh, it did.
Yes.
Oh.
How he did all of his stuff,
Yep.
and then he came back and he ended up getting killed by some guy who's trying to help.
See?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And in this particular case, I think it's also a lesson about, we see all this stuff happen modern like times when people try to uprise in their little pockets against the government. We're like, oh no, what's going on? That was a pretty common thing back then. So that was just the first time where, you got states, everybody going like, oh, federal government's going to tell me what to do? I don't think so. But they did, and they still ended up winning. So George Washington, that was when he actually went into battle or led troops as president into battle, which was a big deal. I think he's the only one to ever do that, I believe. Could
Probably,
be wrong about
yeah.
that. But I think, active battles, they called it or whatever. So
Well, should we actively go for our first nosing?
I think we should. On that note, now that I feel depressed about American history, Viva la Rebellion.
Here's the thing. I've bragged on you in the past a lot about you being able to tell what a weeder is. So this is on you right here tonight, buddy.
Uh-oh.
You got to figure out if it is a weeder for us.
Well, for 108 proof, it doesn't smell like it.
Really? What are you smelling?
Actually, really nice. I got a lot of dessert notes out of it, sweetness.
Actually, that's very good. See, I called upon your nose in the last episode, and here it is.
It's got a pretty strong, caramel vanilla.
It's caramel vanilla, but it's also a little bit of berry, and I do get berry notes in weeders. So I'm not sure if it's a strawberry or a raspberry.
There you go with strawberry again.
I think it's strawberry, honestly. But it is a little caramel vanilla. It's a little bready. It's a little bit, I want to say yeasty. Is that bread?
Is it a cake?
Yeah, cake. Strawberry, vanilla.
Are we getting a shortcake here?
Shortcake. But no, seriously, baked good dessert. I do think this is a weeder. If this isn't a weeder, then I have problems with my nose and my weeder palate. But the thing is sometimes weeders smell young. This doesn't smell very young, and there's no age statement on this, but I think the regular small batch is 3 years old, and this is supposed to be 3 to 4 years old. But it doesn't say that anywhere on here.
That's the thing is though, it's what $39.99,
$40.
Yeah, $40.
Because my first guess on that potentially too. I mean, it might be because Wilderness Trail and Bardstown Bourbon Company,
Right.
are who they're rumored to mainly source from.
Oh yeah.
But neither one of those companies put things out that are $39, right? Like Wilderness Trail, even for their weeded picks, aren't they $59, $69, or are they lower?
No, I think they are up there in price. Doesn't Bardstown have something that's cheaper? Or are they up
I thought Bardstown was all $100, $130 bottles. Everything I see from Bardstown.
I thought Bardstown had some that were more in the $60 range, but
Okay.
again, I don't think they've been that cheap.
Yeah.
But again, who knows if
The Fusion is cheaper than the Discoveries.
Fusion, yes,
But I thought the Fusions were still $89, $99, maybe not.
they might be.
I don't remember anything cheap coming out of Bardstown. So.
It's just kind of weird
Yeah.
that this is sourced and it's that inexpensive.
Well, it could be that maybe this company, because apparently they have some people who have been around the industry a long time. Maybe they got in it at like lower prices, like they
that's true.
started building
Yeah.
their stocks up because. The article said, 5 different distilleries is where they're pulling their whiskey from. All
It could be
Kentucky.
Castle and Key.
Could be.
Because
But
those are less expensive.
But if they're located
barrels, I believe.
in the Danville area, it's a very good chance that this could be like Bardstown or Wilderness.
Bardstown and
Trail.
Wilderness Trail is what most people think.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a pleasant nose to it.
It does have a pretty pleasant nose. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting more alcohol. Do you get a lot of ethanol, anybody?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Pleasant, but I would say muted.
Yeah, muted. I'm
Yeah.
not riding home like this is William LaRue Weller quality or
I just went back to the nose on the Ben Holiday that we poured
yeah.
for Bottled and Bond Day.
There you go.
So, yeah, that nose is definitely.
But like you said, I'm not getting any youth out of this.
No,
And
usually
no ethanol.
So young weeders that haven't turned a corner for me. I know I've said it a million times. I'm say it again. You get like a bready taste or bready smell with like a drywall smell. Sometimes that's what I pick up a lot of times in younger weeders. This doesn't seem to have it. It has a little bit more of the sweetness what I'm used to in a little bit more well-aged weeders. So either that's really good distilling, or maybe they're aging, or maybe who knows? Maybe this could have like 4 to 8 year old juice in it. You never know.
Well, this is a blend though,
Yes, it's not a single barrel.
and their blender. So he worked at Brown Foreman for 38 years.
I think so. Yeah, that's the thing.
So I mean, he might know what he's doing, I guess, right?
Right. Actually, you know what's funny? Did you see this, guys? This actually doesn't say IJW on it. It says bottled by Kentucky Whiskey Bottling, Harrodsburg, Kentucky. What's that? Just says bottling, though. It doesn't say where it was distilled at.
Yeah.
What? That couldn't be any more generic, right? Bottled by Kentucky Whiskey Bottling, Harrodsburg, Kentucky. I wonder, you know what, though? Did you guys ever see that new whiskey, Bondstone? Bondstone is
think so.
another thing that's available at Total Wine and other places.
How do you know about it?
I know about it because a colleague of mine told me about
Oh.
it, and I got a bottle of it as a present that maybe I should have brought along with me tonight, but I didn't.
Was that for your 5th anniversary?
Fifth anniversary, but I think that actually says the same thing on it. Bottled by Kentucky Distilling or Kentucky Bottling in Harrodsburg. So maybe that's where they bottle it at. They could have a bottling operation there. Yep.
Yeah, I'll say Steve Hughes, who spent 38 years making whiskey at Brown Foreman.
Wow.
That is their master blender for that IJW.
Interesting. So we don't really know We don't really know, but I mean, this is really interesting stuff. And then I also read in that article that you're referencing that Puncher's Chance. Did you guys see Puncher's Chance at all?
I have seen it.
So that was like $130 or $140 bottle. That was a rum finished bourbon, I believe, at 13 or 14 years old. And that, I remember when it came out, everyone was talking about it. Didn't get the greatest reviews, but I heard that they used IJW as the source of their whiskey. Not that they're the proprietors of the brand, but the Puncher's Chance, it's got like a boxing theme or whatever to it. They're like a new company, but apparently that's where they're getting their stocks from. So maybe the market is simply like this, right? We talk about MGP being a place where everybody's getting whiskey, and even though Bardstown fashions itself as like the MGP of Kentucky, right? You can run the still, do whatever you want over there. People like this are just building the rick houses full of a bunch of different whiskey distillate, and they can serve as like the place where you can have Kentucky on your label, right? Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Do we know anyone else that does IJW?
Not sure. It could be anywhere, to tell you the truth.
No. Any other bottles?
No.
Not specifically, but I think that's why they've remained in the background, because they want to kind of serve as like I don't know, not necessarily the brand, that they just have good whiskey stocks to sell to people that want to start brands. Yeah.
Well, should we go first taste?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Time to see if this delivers.
Some heat.
There's some heat on that. Ooh. Hold on. I'm going to have to go for the second taste here, because that first one, a lot of heat on it.
It's got some hella legs on this glass.
Yeah. And that's a lot of heat for 100.
My dog licked that glass. My fault.
That's why it's sticking, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
Did you put peanut butter in here?
Those are dog oils.
Peanut
Dog oils.
The old saliva.
There you go.
This is definitely not drink 108 proof. Is that what it is?
Which weird. It had no ethanol to it.
On the nose.
But here it's like, oof. It's coming in hot.
That's coming in hot, pretty hot. Man's not hot, never hot.
That's quite the yin and yang, isn't it?
Right, absolutely.
So I don't hate it.
Yeah, second sip definitely better than the first.
It's a warm drink, definitely.
Peppery on the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of spice.
Hint of sweetness on the very, very, very front.
Is that butterscotch sweetness? It tastes a little butterscotchy to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's as caramelly, but maybe butterscotch.
Yeah, it's like a little faint butterscotch sweetness. I'd say mid palate, like you guys called it, pepper and alcohol. And then the finish is actually, I'm going to go for my third sip here, because I think the finish does show a little bit of the berry sweetness, but this isn't young wheater profile, but it's also not well-developed wheater profile. It's kind of like in between. It's not a dry one, though. You know how some wheaters are dry, like Heaven Hill wheaters? This one's definitely got some nice punch to it.
Yeah, that Kenny, you said though was sweet in the front. It's very fast hitting. Uh-oh.
If you'd have read further down the label.
Damn it. Oh, what'd I miss?
No, it's a lot of writing, though. Like, to be very fair, it's a lot of writing.
Oh, God, what does it say?
It says, McFarlane's Reserve Select is a cask strength wheated bourbon.
Okay, well, there you go. It says it right on the freaking thing. Well,
Who needs words?
They had wheat on the front, so it had to be. Well, it was fun to act like, well, we didn't know, because other than the internet telling us, we can't read. We're actually, I've said that so many times on this podcast, I can't actually read. And based on Steven's shirt, he's wearing a Kentucky Wildcats shirt that says Wildcats like 100 times on it. So you just need to be reminded too, didn't you?
This is the seeing eye test right here.
There you go.
They list maple on the back. I don't know if that here
Maple?
Oh, maple?
Maple, potentially.
Okay.
But
They list maple. Well, I could go maple or butterscotch. It's definitely there. I will say this. There's no finish that's like foul, like running afoul with me. No like bitterness. Maybe a tiny bit, but nothing that's staying with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just drinks warm, and there's nothing much there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all right. I still don't like the way the ethanol hits in the middle of the palate. That's not fun.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So, gents, as we're tasting this, when I said that this appears to only have been sold at Total Wine, you guys know how much I love Total Wine, and I wanted to make jokes about them, but I also kind of want to be semi-respectful. You know, they haven't turned out their Pappy rejection letters yet, and so I still have a chance, right? They haven't done that yet. They still haven't sent out
I think
their
I
Pappy.
missed the last one.
Oh, you did?
I think I might have missed it.
You're not even in.
I may not.
Well, how are you going to get your rejection if you didn't actually apply? But yeah, I did.
Because you'll show it, and I'll be like, I feel rejected.
Yeah, well, we'll probably get rejected anyway, but the fact that they haven't put the emails out yet still means that we have a chance.
A punter's chance.
Punter's chance.
punter or puncher?
Puncher. But anyway, They have a lot of different variants of their whiskey, which is pretty interesting. I think right now they have like a 13-year wine finished. I think I saw a 15-year maple cask finish. I think I also saw the small batch, cask strength, other variants. And I kind of just wonder, like, is this the kind of whiskey, whoever's building this brand, and that's why I wonder if it is IJW's whiskey or not, or their brand. Because, like, why are you building a brand around this McFarlane's Reserve and all these different variants? I guess it could be a partnership with Total Wine, and they want to build it because it's a house brand and they want to put it out there. But I don't know. What do you think of that?
They're just so secretive. Like, if you look at the few articles you can find on them,
Right.
they're so secretive.
I do know that I received this as a gift.
Okay.
And they went to Total Wine to purchase this, and I think they asked for recommendations, and I'm not gonna say they pushed this on them, but the sales guy did bring this up.
See, that smacks of maybe being some kind of partnership
house
with
brand.
a house
Right.
brand, yeah. And then I wonder if this is somehow a house brand for Total Wine, and I hope someone out there knows that it is, and you can just email me or send me a message and tell me I'm an idiot, and we're idiots, and that's fine. We love that. But
You on that, Kenny?
yeah, what's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, he's gonna send you. No.
Just me?
Yeah.
Okay. They don't want to be involved, but I'll be involved with it. But I just wonder if it is a house brand, how many other things they're masquerading or they're using that juice for that they're calling Total Wine brands that we don't know about. So,
Yeah.
Or based on how secretive they are, I wonder if it could be the IJW's thing,
yep.
and they just don't want to disclose that just in case it fails.
Oh, there you go.
Because then
I guess it doesn't look.
they
bad
don't
on
want to
their
be
part.
leaked. Doesn't look bad on them, and they
Yeah.
keep sourcing and selling to other people. I'm just saying that's just something to.
Yeah, and then when they finally do have a bottle that may be good, they can be like, "Oh, that's all us."
Yeah, or if this takes over, or not takes over, if this catches on and really goes good and sales go good, then they come out and say, "Hey, this is our brand, and we've been doing
By
this
the
for
way,
a while." And, yeah.
Well, and I can't
don't know.
remember what it was, but there was a bottle that Total Wine brought out that they said was like Weller. Do you remember that around Christmas time? And I made fun of it on the internets, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh, that's my favorite weeder. It is better than Buffalo Trace." And I was like, "What?" And so it was like a $99 bottle. I wish I remember the name of it now, but it did sell out.
Oh, wow.
And Total Wine would advertise it. I remembered because when they posted about it and they said, "This is just like this," I think I made a laughing emoji and wrote like "screw Total Wine" or something on their post. Sorry, Total Wine. But yeah, I think that there might be more variety to it than this. So
Yeah, I remember when I was new into bourbon and I would go to Total Wine and ask for recommendations, and they'd recommend something. I go home and drink it. I'm like, this is not good. So I don't listen to them anymore.
there you go.
What's that one brand? Walcott?
Walcott, yeah, that's a Total
Ugh.
Wine brand. Yep.
So Kenny and Tony, would you pass, try, or buy on the McFarlane Reserve Select Cask Strength Bourbon Whiskey? I'll go first.
Oh, you fooled it.
Gotcha.
Yay. To
As-
New York. Tony was getting ready.
Yep.
You go ahead.
Bye. I'm teasing.
As thinking of the price and the drink we had here, I'm actually gonna be a pass.
Okay.
I think I might have probably finished this bottle on the rocks,
Ooh, rocks drinker, man.
right? Because I don't think it's anything special.
Well, I was going to say, I don't do much cocktails or mixed drinks,
Right.
but I was saying that might be a decent,
Right?
because
it has heat. and
there's
that could-
nothing
that could go
offensive.
through.
There was nothing offensive
No,
in it.
there's not.
So it might be a good mixture.
Right. So I
Yeah.
veered away from a try because there's plenty of stuff in the 20s and 30s
Right.
that is better than this. And so I would probably just get that instead of even
Yeah.
trying this. And you're not going to be able to get this at a bar, so there's no point even trying it.
Right.
So I think I'm just going to stick to the pass on this.
That's good.
That's where I was too. I was pass. It's not offensive, but it's also, the thing I was thinking about was the white label Bourbon and Bond Heaven Hill, which 100 proof at $20 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking it's 100 proof. This is 10. Now, what's wild though, this is quote unquote cask strength. So you would think that it would be a little more full of flavor since it's not watered down.
Right.
But it just didn't really do much for me. But it wasn't offensive. Like, it wasn't anything offensive in it.
I think if it would have had like some sort of flavor, it would definitely, I think, be a try.
Yep.
Because I enjoyed the palate or the nosing, but the palate was just warm, and it was just kind of like nothing there.
And which might have to make some cocktails with it,
Yeah,
report back.
I agree with you.
And might change to a buy for that for people
Yeah.
that buy cocktails, because there was nothing offensive about it. I'm just not. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to complete the trifecta here, and I'm not even going to give any long soliloquy today. I'm just going to say that I'm also a pass, and the reason I'm a pass is because now that I am still nosing it, because I did pour a tiny bit more, like a quarter of an ounce into the bottom of the glass, it is striking. Some of those notes that I liked at the beginning that I was nosing are now getting a little bit more stale, and I actually think that I do smell a little bit of my dreaded drywall.
Oh, no.
The dreaded drywall, like / stale honey wheat bread is coming out a little bit. So,
But no Centrum, right?
no Centrum.
Okay, that's good.
No George Dickel.
No Dickel in this.
Yeah, no Dickel in this. But here's the thing. I agree with both of you that it isn't super offensive. I did want way more out of the flavor of the palate. That would have made me, if I tasted or if I nosed some berries like I did with the Wheater, and that hint of sweetness wasn't so quick and gone, maybe a try.
I thought
but it's gone.
I thought the warmth of the drink
was
pleasant. It was warm,
right.
but it needed to follow it up with some sort of flavor.
You liked the hug. But you didn't like what was
Well, actually, didn't even have much of a hug.
It might be a good cocktail, though. We'll
Yeah.
see.
So, gentlemen, talking about this possible, quote, house brand.
Right.
Can we think of any other, maybe like restaurants, or not restaurants, but liquor stores that people may know that may actually have an actual house brand that's either good or bad?
Well,
Liquor Barn has Flatboat, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's Barton Source.
Barton Source.
Yeah.
Costco has all that Kirkland stuff.
Yeah.
That's mainly Barton Source.
That's
I thought,
Barton
as well.
Yeah.
Barton again, right?
I thought.
I'm going to make a bold statement there and say I think Barton is doing the best job when it comes to creating house brands that are worth drinking, at least from what I've tasted, but I haven't tasted enough. I think where people really shine is when you have stores, small stores, big stores, or whatever, that get in partnerships with distilleries where there's actually something premium involved.
Oh, man, I think as far as like premium stuff, up until the last few months, Total Wine had a partnership with all of their BTAC. It would just sit in the back room and be there for people that work there.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Nothing like Total Wine stocking up the back room with allocated bottles, which happens far too often.
This Tony over here taking selfies with it.
There you go.
Dude,
Exactly. Backroom manager.
They've kind of taken a bad rap, man. They're getting, now that, they have their different membership levels or whatever.
Right.
And so now, back when I was what's the higher membership called?
I don't remember.
Whatever it is. I was that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I was that for like 2 years, and there was zero perks. But now they have perks where you get to buy allocated stuff if you're that. But what they do to drive everybody crazy is they actually sit it out on a table, and everybody sees it, and everybody goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna grab that." They said, "Are you the X whatever the higher end membership?"
Crap.
And they're like, "No, like not. You can't buy it then."
Yeah.
So man, they are taking a beating. I've got friends that I work with that aren't even like huge into bourbon, a little bit into bourbon. Like, man, you won't believe this. I was at Total Wine the other day.
Yeah.
They had a Weller Full Proof, and that's one of my favorite ones to drink. And I went over there to get it, and they wouldn't let me buy it because I wasn't whatever member. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So you would think they'd have a better process of that. You just like I mean, they're just taking a beating, dude. They deserve it though.
Man, you talk about the liability though. What happens if it accidentally gets dropped? I mean, that's a lot of unnecessary handling of a bottle. That's going to bring a lot of money to them.
It's just they are very deserving of that beating they're taking.
Yeah, Anthony, come on.
Hey, well, if you guys want to know what the thing that you can get if you get back involved with buying stuff from Total Wine is, you can get access to the 13-year-old McFarlane Reserve. The Cabernet finished McFarlane Reserve. And that, my friends, is what's going to get you going back. Not those allocated bottles. Who cares about those?
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TheMashupKY.
Don't forget to visit our partner, BourbonOutfitter.com. Enter code TheMashup for a special discount.
Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it.